Honestly, I was so disappointed when I unrolled my Swiss long and it looked like this. It looked a mess. I thought, what a disaster. But look, I rescued it. And if I can make my Christmas Yule log look as beautiful as this, I can assure you, you can make your own Christmas Yule log this Christmas. So I really hope you try this out at home. Let's get baking. So first of all, it is very important that you prep your cake pan. Now, this is a specially designed Swiss roll tin that is shallow. You can get one like this, or you can use any tin that is this sort of dimension. You don't want it too deep because your sponge cake will cook quicker in a shallow pan. So I've greased the bottom with some butter and then I'm lining it with some parchment paper. Now you see that I'm trimming the parchment paper, but I'm leaving a little lip at the edges because this will help it make it easier when I want to lift the cake off the pan. Now, it's very important that you have a really non-stick surface. So we're going to brush some butter on the parchment paper as well to create a really non-stick surface. Next, we're going to start with the eggs. You're going to separate the egg whites from the egg yolks. So you can use an egg separator or whatever technique that you like to use to separate the eggs from the egg yolk. Now we're going to combine our dry ingredients. I don't know why I'm so happy with the sieve, but I've put the flour in the bowl and I'm sieving cocoa powder. Always sieve your cocoa powder because it's very fine and it clumps together. You don't want those clumps in your cake. Add the salt and then also add the baking powder into the mixture. Once you put that in, give it a stir with your whisk to allow all the dry ingredients to combine together. Now, let me ask you one question. Have you subscribed to Dr. Mommy Cake's channel? If you haven't, you are missing out. So please click the subscribe button now. Okay, let's mix our wet ingredients together. I've added the egg yolk and the white sugar together and starting to mix it. I started off with the whisk. It gets really clumpy and difficult, so I switched to using a spatula to mix it a little bit until it was soft, and then I'm going back with the whisk to mix it. You really do want to whisk it until it's very combined. You'll start to see that it will be more runny and it starts to be a paler color compared to the color of the yolk that we started off with. You add the yogurt and then you're also going to add vanilla and mix it together. Now, this bit I'm using a whisk to demonstrate that you can do this by hand, but if you have a stand mixer or hand mixer, by all means use that. And then we add in the melted butter and mix until it's nicely combined. It will look like custard. Next, we're going to whisk up the egg whites. Now, this is where having a stand mixer you want to whisk the
comes
egg
in
white
handy because it
until
will
it's a
save you
stiff
time and
peak.
effort.
So that means that it peaks when you lift up your mixer whisk. You'll see that the egg white just stands on it and it doesn't droop down. This is the consistency that you want. So it looks like literally fluffy clouds. And now we're going to combine it all together. So first we're going to add the dry ingredients in with the wet ingredients and mix that until it's well combined. It will look thick and gooey like a brownie type mixture, but don't worry. This is what it should look like at this stage. We're then going to gently start to add the whipped egg whites. And you can see when I say it looks like a fluffy cloud, this is what we say stiff peaks. Now, the way that you mix the egg white is what we call folding. It means that you literally just gently want to fold it into the mixture, not rigorously mixing it like you would your normal batter, but gently just sort of folding it in on itself really gently. And that's because the egg white has a lot of air, which makes your sponge nice and soft. So you don't want to knock out all the air that is inside the egg white, and slowly add more and more until all the egg white is folded into the mixture, just like you're seeing as I'm doing. Gently does it at this stage. Don't undo all your hard work. And this is what your batter should look like. So it's starting to look more like your regular sponge cake batter. Pop that into your tray. You might want to jiggle it around so it spreads nicely in the cake pan. If it's not, then you can use the back of a spoon to just gently spread it around into the pan. And then once that's done, into the oven we go to bake. I'll put details of baking time and temperature in the description. Now, while your cake is baking, it only takes 10 to 15 minutes. You want to start to prep the surface that you're going to roll the Swiss roll on. Now, it's very important that you have a very non-stick surface. So I'm using a piece of parchment paper that's large enough for my cake, and I dusted it with some cocoa powder so that the cake won't stick. Now, once your cake is done, you need to act fast. You want to look how happy I am. It smelled so good. I knew it was a good cake. So you want to flip it onto the prepared work surface. Be careful, don't drop your cake. And then you want to roll it literally as soon as it's out of the oven. Now it's very tricky because it's really hot. So be careful. You can see the steam coming out from the cake. Be careful. Don't burn yourself. Now, some recipe techniques will say roll your cake on a clean kitchen towel. It just doesn't sit well with me, so I'm using parchment paper. But I'm also using the kitchen towel just to protect my hands because honestly, it's proper hot. But the reason why you want to roll your Swiss roll when it's hot is so that it retains the shape. So just go gently like I'm doing, and just roll it. So when you're rolling it, you want to roll it nice and tight. And then once you've rolled it, you're going to allow the cake to cool completely before you start the second part of decorating. Now, this is where I made a mistake. So I was doing other things at the same time, and I left the rolled Swiss roll for quite a long time. So it completely cooled down, and that was why it stuck to the parchment paper. So I would say probably leave it in there for an hour or so. That's more than plenty. If you are rushed for time, then you can pop it into the fridge for about 20 30 minutes until it's nice and cool before decorating. Now, another thing I will say again, or say it again, be careful, it is hot, so don't burn yourself. Next, we're going to prepare the ganache and the filling. I have a full recipe on how to prepare chocolate ganache, but in summary, you heat up the cream, add it to your chocolate, cover with cling film for a couple of minutes so that the heat of the cream melts the chocolate, mix it until it's combined. But for the full details, click the video showing up at the top of your screen or check out in the description section. Next, we're going to make the chocolate flavored whipped cream. So you have your double cream and you are adding your icing sugar. Don't worry, the full ingredient list is in the description section, so check it out. We're also adding cocoa powder. Now, it's a basic filling, but you can make it even more exciting. You can add things like, liqueur, hazelnut liqueur, or Irish cream to spice it up a little bit more, or you can just go with the simple cocoa powder like I'm doing, and you want to whip it up until it's nice and thick, and that is your frosting. Here is the ganache, and I whipped the ganache as well, but that step is optional. Okay, so on rolling, I've already told you what I did wrong, and if you make the same mistake, don't worry. Honestly, Swiss roll either works or it doesn't work. You can do everything right, and it still may not work. But like I said, don't despair. You can actually put it all together, I promise you. Even if it looks like a mess, a disaster like this, don't chuck it away. don't stress. We are going to patch it all together with our buttercream. And the beauty of a Swiss Yule log is that it looks rustic. So nobody will even know that you had trouble with your Swiss log. So here's what you do. Put some of your frosting in the filling in the middle and just basically, roll it back into the shape of a log and use your frosting to act like some glue and just pat it together to make a Swiss log. Now, looking at it now, you think this does not look good, but remember, you're going to be covering the entire Swiss roll with your ganache so nobody will know. We're going to create the branch pattern, so you just want to cut out a small section of your Yule log and you're going to stick it to the edge so that it looks like a tree branch. Be careful so that you don't mess up the branch side, and then you're just going to use your frosting, or you can use your ganache to stick it to the side, and then we're just going to decorate the whole process. So you can use the ganache to basically cover the surface. So you start off using your um, spatula to spread it all across the U log, and then once you've covered the entire top surface side of the branches, you don't cover the log bits. Then you use a smoother to basically just smoothen it. Now it doesn't need to be perfect and smooth like your cakes, because again you want a rustic natural look. I'm using a fork to basically roughen up the edges so that it looks like a log, and then I'm finishing up with a slight dusting of cocoa powder to make it look even nicer. So you can start to see that this Yule log is looking pretty nice and good. And the final last step is to decorate it. Now, traditionally, you use cranberries, fresh cranberries, or frozen cranberries, but I couldn't get either, so I improvised and used frozen um, raspberries. So you can use cherries or grapes or literally any small tiny red fruit. I'm decorating here with parsley because I didn't have any rosemary or thyme. That's the alternative. And here is my beautiful Yule log, and it tastes absolutely delicious. So make sure that you try this for Christmas.